with when comes the rain, lost in the sweep of the horizon, water so deep.
I'm Keith Fritz, and I'm a furniture maker, and this is a victory dining table that we made. Can I show you my high school woodshop project?
That's great. That is so amazing.
When I was 15, 16, I spent 1,200 hours making this.
Oh my God.
I tried to imagine, my dad builds houses, and he can build a simple house in less than 1,200 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I tried to imagine what I thought would be the most amazing piece of furniture I could imagine, and I drew it up and I built it. So that's how I got my start. I'm involved at the very beginning and at the very end of every table. Okay. I'm purchasing all of the wood and laying it out, and I believe every table should be a work of art. The grain arrangement, the finish. So like this is black walnut. This was sliced in Indiana. There's a veneer mill that slices the trees in Indiana. So the table is a pie match. So, and it's hard to see the individual pies, but everyone is identical and mirror matched. I like to get these round features. I like to use these round features. Mm-hmm. And in the darker finish, they're kind of hard to see, but you can see them with the reflection of the light from the pores. Yeah. I also like to have multiple colorways. Even though this is a dark finish, you've got high, low colorways. Okay. And then I like to leave the grain, I like to leave the texture of the grain there. And I like the way it reflects light. So I'm laying out the veneer for every piece, but then at the end, I work in the finishing room and I'm polishing every piece, inspecting every piece. And so you just look at the way the light reflects off of the table, off of the hand planing, the way the light reflects off of the pores, the way everything feels. Everything is hand polished and buffed. So, as for the construction of the table,
look at the base.
We have, there's 15 people in our shop, and so there's a couple of people who specialize in doing the table bases. And then there's a few guys who work on the tabletops, and then I work in the finishing room. And then we have a computer-controlled router that cuts the core of the legs out. The legs on this table are an engineered laminated birch ply. Okay. So the legs are laminated like an engineered truss, with multiple layers of Baltic birch. Okay. All of that is then veneered in a vacuum. We do vacuum veneering, which originated in the aircraft industry. Most aircraft components are made in a vacuum. Okay. When you do lamination in a vacuum, you get much stronger bonds than you get using mechanical clamping, because the vacuum sucks the glue into the core and into the veneer fibers on the top. Oh. Another thing that happens even before is all of our veneers are two-plied in a hot press. There's a company that takes the face veneer and the backer veneer, and it presses them using intense pressure and intense heat. And so they create, and it has a marine grade bond, and then that two-ply we're vacuuming on. Okay. So the veneers don't delaminate, they don't crack, because of the hot press pressing and then our vacuuming. So there's this table is one of the faster tables we make. So there's making the leg cores is going to be a few days. Veneering the base is going to be a week. There's probably going to be a week in the top. You've got to hand cut all of the pies, and then you've got to cut the border pieces and edge them, and then the table is hand planed. One of my craftsmen takes a hand plane where the blade is ground at a curve to create the gentle undulations. Antique pieces before modern tools were, they would hand plane everything because they didn't have electricity. I've always loved the texture that the hand planing makes. the way it reflects light. You think about this like at a dinner party, candlelight. I mean, just the way it feels, the way it reflects light. So I've always liked that on antiques. So we do that same process. It is a veneer, and the veneer is sliced 1/8 of an inch thick, so that I can.
So you can hand plane it.
So I can hand plane it. People are like, well, how do you hand plane veneer?
veneer.
I have them all sliced thick, and that's why I can sandblast and do these driftwood finishes. So I have a lot of the veneers sliced thick so that I can, I can sandblast. I can give the surface texture rather than just being flat. And then we finish the table, and that's a process that's going to happen over the course of a week. And then I'm spending hours with every table, polishing it, microabrading it. Sometimes when we finish, a little speck of dust will land in it, and I will cut that out with a razor blade. I'll microabrade, polish it, and then we wrap everything up in wax paper, blankets, and cordboard. And we don't trust truckers. We deliver everything. Yeah, we drove this down to Florida. And then when things happen, you call us and we fix them. So it's a relationship. There's tables that I've been servicing for 20 years where they'll pay me to come in every 4 or 5 years, and we'll make it perfect for them. And generally we can do that in the house. People certify things as green. Nothing that's disposable is green, in my opinion. And a home used to not be an investment. A home was a permanent place. And today people sometimes will view their home as an investment. They're like, oh, we're going to sell it in 5 years, so we don't want to buy anything very nice. And so I think if you think of a home as a permanent place rather than an investment, and you buy furniture that's meant to be forever, that's so much better for the environment. Most furniture people's buying, it's made overseas, and the people who are making it don't have the quality of life that we have. It's the cost is the labor, and it's not really the materials. And we don't cut costs. Sometimes people be like, can you make this cheaper? No, that's not who we are. We build it to last forever. We build it to our standards, and then we set a price. The price is the price. It's just the time and materials. And so when clients are looking for low cost, you're going to end up buying things that are made overseas. So the Victory Table is inspired by Augustus Welby Pugin, who designed the British Houses of Parliament in the 19th century. He was responsible for the Gothic revival of the 19th century. He would do these buildings that would have a timber frame structure, in the roofs. And so the base of the design is inspired by those timber frame structures. That's where that comes from. So that's where the base design comes from. The other aspects of the design is, I believe a dining table should be comfortable. That's the most important thing, is comfort. And so the legs come in, because when you go to set at a table, you have a knee. When you go to set, like, the legs curve in so that when you're sliding across that leg, you don't hit your knee. When you gather your family and friends, your loved ones around a dining table, you share stories, you share a meal, you make memories. There's something very special and sacred about that. And so I say the dining table is the altar of the family.
I love that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a special place. So I teach a class that helps designers custom tailor dining tables to fit their client's lifestyle and their needs. So you start with the size of the room, the shape of the room, and the number of people you want to seat. That's where you start when you're designing a dining table. I love a round table because everybody is equal. They're very conversational. You can always squeeze another person. 60 round seats 6, 72 round seats 8. We do perimeter leaf tables where the leaves go around the table and they come off, and you can use a perimeter leaf table to seat 10 or 12.